So, sexual harassment of women at workplace, Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013 is a legislative act in India, and it seeks to protect women from sexual harassment who are working at the workplace. Now, this act has come in force from 9th December 2013, and this statute superseded the Vishakha guidelines for prevention of sexual harassment introduced by Supreme Court. So while this sexual harassment of women at workplace talks about women only, but today the modern policies are expected and graduated for all types of employees and all genders inclusive. So the salient points of any POSH policy would be providing and committing to giving a workplace which is free of sexual harassment, any kind of intimidation or exploitation of the employees who are working there. It should be able to provide healthy working conditions and environment where people can work without any fear, without any prejudice, any gender bias, or sexual harassment or any kind of exploitation. The company should believe that the stakeholders who are coming and working, irrespective of their gender, they are treated with dignity, and that is of paramount importance. So, in continuation with being not gender biased, it's important that we are inclusive. We create a safe working place, a fair and just working place, so that we can put together everybody's viewpoint and make a place free from sexual harassment. So, workplace is a place which is visited by the employees, and in the course of employment, anybody else who could be working in that workplace while they are getting transported to or working in that area is called workplace. The workplace can also be known as extended workplace, which means for the requirement of the work, a person has to go out for lunch, or even if it means it is calling somebody to their residence for some work. It could be also commuting while using any transportation like metro, rail, bus, taxi, or being invited to a official engagement or official party also is an extended workplace. The circumstances that may amount to sexual harassment may be many. The primary ones would be like physical contact or advances. It could be demand or request for sexual favors. It could be making sexually colored remarks. It could be trying to show pornography or any other unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of sexual in nature. It could also mean implied or explicit promise of preferential treatment in employment, or detrimental treatment in employment, or giving a threat to the person for future employment as well. So these are certain circumstances in which sexual harassment can happen. So the role of the internal committee is formation of an internal committee which initiates the inquiry on a complaint which is received or filed against sexual harassment. So they have the power to collect evidences and summon the witnesses. And this internal committee constitution should have basically a presiding officer. It is mandatory that there has to be a woman at a senior level. Not less than 2 members from employees who are committed to cause are member of it, and 1 member from NGO who is committed to the cause and familiar with the clauses of sexual harassment. 1/2 of the total members should be women. So this is how the constitution of the internal committee should be. The redressal mechanism consists of the following steps. The complaint can be made in writing to the internal committee or to the person to whom the aggrieved has faith. It's important that the person who has received the complaint takes it to the internal committee. There is a time limit. The complaint should be at least 3 months from the time of the incidents. However, it is in the discretion of the internal committee, if depending upon the case, the case can be looked into if it is older than 3 months. The time limit is extendable by the internal committee. If the aggrieved is not able to write the complaint because of physical or mental capacity, or it could also be that the person is no more, there can be a legal hire or other prescribed person who is entitled to complain. Internal committee can recommend actions in accordance to the consequence management framework for sexual harassment, or in that case, internal committee concludes the report if it is malicious in nature. So it's important that the complaint is made in good faith, and false complaint should not be made, and witnesses should also not give any false statement. Once the case comes to the internal committee, there's a time limit within which the complaint is actually investigated, and then there is a committee who looks into the uh, investigation report, and in a fair and just manner, the consequences are decided by the organization.